Close enough. Hi! We're going to be continuing with Higurashi today. So, let us begin. Wherever we left off. Let's see, is that mostly centered? Yeah, it's mostly centered. Cool. Alright. Continue. Enter chapter 7. Okay, let's see how far we can get in like 2 hours. Continue. The die of fate had been cast. Reporting to a public agency, which we'd kept being warned could instead result in something far worse for Satoko if we didn't have the evidence first. And just like that. Had I failed? Had I let my emotions get the better of me in that moment? Maybe I should have stayed silent and left everything to Mion, since she had been relatively calm. I remembered the punishment game where we had to badmouth Curry, and how me saying anything would have made it worse, and Satoko told us to leave the talking to her. Maybe it was the same thing here. I was impulsive, so maybe I should have just shut up and looked at the floor. But it was too late to lament it. The die I had thrown wouldn't be coming back into my hands. All we could do was pray for something good to happen. Keiichi-kun, you did everything you could. Leave it to the teachers now. Okay? Everything I could? If I really gave it everything I had, if I had really struggled, I would have dragged Satoko out of her home last night and hidden her in some abandoned house. How would that have been better? I didn't, so that means I didn't do everything I could. Stop thinking about it, alright? You're being a little too persistent, Keiichi-kun. At this rate, you'll collapse. Just leave me alone. I left her with those words and stared lazily up at the ceiling. Hi, Sol! Thank you for the resub! Aw, thank you so much. How have you been? And also, can you tell me if the microphone is okay? I'm always worried about doubling up. I wondered if I'd really got Chie-sensei to understand. Would the public agency intervene and solve everything within the day? Would they acknowledge the abuse and guarantee her safety? Thank you. It will double up on me randomly, so I'm always a little bit paranoid. So, but yeah, you just relax. And thank you for stopping by, I always appreciate it. After lunch break, our afternoon classes were mostly self-study. The teacher came back into the classroom occasionally, but then the phone in the lounge would ring, and she'd have a long conversation with the caller. Everyone in class got the feeling they knew what those phone calls were about. Since I came trotting back into the classroom, or from the classroom. I'm really sorry for all the phone calls recently. Let's call it a day. President, please lead the class. Everybody stand up. It looked to me like Sensei had been wearing a dark expression ever since after lunch break. It wasn't a very relieving expression. It wouldn't be. Even if Sensei 100% understood the situation and passionately explained it to the other person. At the end, the Child Consultation Center is a public agency who would be the ones to decide whether or not to get her to safety. Sensei understood that, as well as us, and that's why she looked so unreliable right now. Hey-chan, let's go home. I don't think anyone feels like having club today. Mi-chan, it's no fun if someone's not here. Hi, Liv! Always good to see you too. Rena was right. It was no fun for us if someone was missing. If the teacher's expression had shown more promise, then maybe we could have gone home more comfortably. But I couldn't let myself feel relieved. I couldn't be naive and tell myself all I can do is pray now that the dice have been cast, just in case they didn't get her to safety and decided to wait and see again. I need to take further measures. Oh no! Oh no! We've asked the people who could do something official already. Then there was one more place that was worth asking for help. She might laugh it off. Or I might be right, and I could be endangering my own life. But I could try. Oh, Mion? Is it okay if I stop at your place today? You've got a lot of manga, right? I want to borrow a bunch of them. Huh? Sure, I guess. There was an ominous meaning behind my words, so Mion realized what I really meant right away. I wanted to talk about something alone. That's what I meant. Mi-chan, Keiichi-kun, let's go home! Rena was already had her shoes on and was waving to us from the schoolyard. Time passes. Mion's house was gigantic in every way imaginable. The house itself was vaguely old-fashioned traditional Japanese house, but the yard, I guess, or their plot of land, was enormous. It easily convinced me that they really were major landowners with Hinamizawa under their thumb. Mion brought me to the guest room, and a servant brought us some tea. Wow, you really are rich, huh? You've even got housekeepers. Grandma and I are the only ones who live here. I wouldn't be able to do everything myself. The servant left, telling us it was 5 o'clock, then withdrew with soft footsteps. We have people come in to take care of Grandma and clean 2 or 3 times a week. They come in rotations every 3 or 4, so there's someone here almost every day. Only until evening, though. Oh, and if we're having a party or something, we need more help, we call different people. If you had money to hire all these people, then just take Satoko in. I glared at her as I thought that, and Mion seemed to catch on immediately. Oh, sorry. It's fine. I know it's not a money problem. Just to be clear, my family may be rich, but it's not money that I can use freely for myself, okay? I don't want you to misunderstand that. It kind of looked like I was bullying her, because you are. Mion had been apologizing to me a lot lately. Was Mion the sort of person who would do that this much? Maybe it's just that I've been looking so grim lately. So, what's up? You had something to talk about, right? I have something pretty serious to discuss, Mion. This will be sudden and you might be surprised, but I want you to hear me out. Huh? What? Oh, I'll give you a way out first. Even if what I say is true, you don't need to admit it. You're allowed to play dumb. But I want you to listen until the end. I have something to say to the next leader of what is still the most important of the 3 families of Onigafuchi village, Mion Sonozaki. At first, Mion looked like she had no idea what I was saying, but after hearing the whole sentence and putting it together, she reacted. Where did you hear that? It doesn't really matter. I definitely couldn't tell her who told me. Takano-san, you told me not to, but please forgive me. This is why I asked you about it, after all. I was surprised just that you had heard of Onigafuchi village, Kei-chan. But you seem to know a lot of things, both true and false, about me too. Yeah, true and false. I really might just have the wrong impression here. But I'm okay with that, so listen. And if it really is true, I don't know what you're getting at, Kei-chan, but let me say this beforehand. You've got a big misunderstanding. So if it's possible, I wouldn't want to hear what you're about to say. Because even if you said it, I can't do anything to help you. Still, if talking about it will lighten your burden even a little, I'll listen. I'm only just going to listen. Nothing more will happen. Are you okay with that? Yeah. Mion seemed to know what kind of thing I'd be talking about. She warned me that doing so would be fruitless. That much was obvious. What I was going to say was true, then the Sonozaki family would be the masterminds behind the string of freak deaths that had been occurring every year in Hinamizawa. You know that stuff about Yashiro-sama's curse, right? Mion nodded a little. No one knows what it is or why it happens. Even if each incident is solved, the string of deaths and accidents as a whole is still a mystery. But there's one thing connecting them all. That's how the targets are always the enemies of the village. Seems like it. Mion spoke as if it didn't relate to her. That was fine. She didn't have to admit it. For now, I just wanted her to stay quiet and listen to me. The day after tomorrow is the Watanagashi, isn't it? Has the sacrifice for this year's curse been decided already? Mion didn't answer. Her expression remained the same too. Like she said, she was just quietly listening. Sorry. The promise was that you just listened, so it's weird for me to ask that question, huh? Mion gave me a look she'd never given me before. A faraway look. A sympathetic one. She didn't nod. She just smiled faintly she just smiled faintly and listened to me. It should be listened, but whatever, translating is hard. You don't always catch the grammar. If this year's curse isn't going to be on Satoko's uncle, then please, change it to him. I mean, last year, it was her aunt, right? It's just in the right order, so it wouldn't be weird. You're right. It seems like there's an order. I mean, after her aunt died to the curse last year, he abandoned Satoko and fled to town for a whole year. Why wouldn't a guy like that definitely be next on Yashiro-sama's list? There shouldn't be any issue with choosing him this year. I see. If he were to die from the curse this year, no one would be able to see anything unusual about it. I heard that Yashiro-sama's curse as well. No matter how I looked at it, I wasn't sure whether I should continue. No matter how I tried, the words wouldn't come out. String of freak deaths in Hinamizawa, also called Yashiro-sama's curse. You're saying that the incidents are perpetuated by the village, carried out by the three families at the Sonozaki's instructions. Is that it? I wasn't. I don't care one bit whether you have anything to do with it. I'm just saying, if you have a way of communicating with whoever decides the targets of the curses, then I just want you to tell them to choose Satoko's uncle. Please. Everything you've been saying has been terrible. If the freak death incidents in Hinamizawa were carried out by the will of the Sonozaki family, wouldn't that mean that the main culprit would be me, wouldn't it? I would have chosen the target of the curse, given the instructions, killed many people, and gotten rid of the others. You're calling me a murderer, Kei-chan? I didn't say that. Didn't you listen to me? I don't care whether you're the one behind the murders or not. I just don't. Even if you're the culprit, if you were the culprit, it doesn't change the fact that you're my friend. It doesn't matter at all. If the police were chasing you, I'd come to help. I'd make you an alibi and even help you escape. Because we're friends and comrades.
Cheer 250 Gin is big cute. Like really big cute. The sound of her voice is so calming and makes me smile every time. We are all very lucky to know Gin. Always big cute Gin.
You are a sweetheart. Thank you. Thank you so much for the cheer. Aren't we? Mion looked surprised for a while. She was dumbfounded. Like me, whenever Sol cheers something. Now you're declaring yourself complicit? Kei-chan, that's pretty bold of you. Come on, don't interrupt. Satoko's uncle, choose him for... Stop right there, Kei-chan. I want to start on dinner soon, so I'd like to leave things at this. Mion! Then I realized that my cheeks were wet with tears. They slid slowly down my chin and fell drip-drop on the tatami mat. It's like I said at the start. You've got a big misunderstanding. A Yashiro-sama's curse is just that. Even if there were people behind those incidents, they don't have anything to do with the Sonozaki family or me either. Right. I understand that. It's just... It was touching to hear such desperate plea, Kei-chan. But that's all it was. Even if I wanted to help, I can't. You understand that too, right? Yeah. But now I know how you feel, so well it hurts. If I really were, like you said, the one controlling the three families and choosing the sacrifices every year, I'd probably grant your wish. Mion. But the reality is different. I'm just Mion Sonozaki. My family may be the subject of all sorts of bad rumors about controlling Hinamizawa from the shadows, but we have nothing to do with the freak death incidents. We may have been a little extreme during the dam war, but that's all. We would never do something so insane as to kill people. Don't say such sad things. Right now, at least, I don't care. Why can't you just be nice and lie to me? Kei-chan, you're free to believe what you like. If I were lied to you now, you'd be convinced Satoko would be free the night after tomorrow, and you'd be able to shed much of your burden. However, reality is harsh. Satoko's uncle will survive beyond that day. You'd still be alive next week, and the week after that. You need to prepare yourself for that. I don't want you coming to me the day after the Watanagashi and demanding to know why he wasn't killed. Mion. Mion stood up slowly, closing the sliding door to keep out the wind that had grown chilly. Was it Mio-san? Did she give you all those ideas? She really likes to misunderstand things about Hinamizawa. Well, we can't let her have fun. Or we can let her have her fun. But I don't really want her influencing you, Kei-chan. Jeez. This is why outsiders are no good. Takano-san had nothing to do with it. Right. Don't worry. Even though I know she told you about it, Kei-chan, nothing's going to happen. It's not like Mio-san will be chosen for this year's curse. Oh, sure. Hey, Sil. Mwah! You're great. Thank you. Besides, we don't even know for sure if the curse will happen this year. Maybe it was all just a pile of unfortunate circumstances. Thanks for listening. If you weren't connected to the serial deaths at all, then that must have been an uncomfortable conversation. I'll apologize for it. I see. You'll apologize for it. Mion said she didn't have much time, but she still brought me to the gate. She said she had a meeting or something today about Sunday's Watanagashi festival, so there would be a lot of people from the town council and the festival committee coming. Despite her being so busy, she still listened to what I had to say. If there's a God in heaven, then he probably understands how strongly you feel. Yeah, I'm really sorry for being so weird today. You can pretend like that discussion never happened if you want.
Compliments for soul? Okay.
Well, I know for a fact you are a sweetheart. You have been one of the people who has just stuck with me this entire time. I'm muted? How am I muted? How? Oh. Okay. I was like, how? I've been reading this entire time. But anyway, you're a sweetheart who has been with me since the beginning. And I always like seeing you around because it's just, you have a really nice presence about you. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Although I would have laughed because it's like, oh no, I'm trying to do a little bit of acting with the traumatic reading. And it's like, no, we heard nothing. But yeah, I think you're great. And I always appreciate seeing you around. Yeah, it absolutely is. You can pretend like the discussion never happened if you want. Okay, I'll forget about it. Shh. We like Liv a lot. Liv is great. Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. I had really only spent a short time with Beyond. Talking to her made me think. It was clear that what Takano-san had told me, at least, wasn't a complete fabrication. If Mion was really unconnected to the incidents, then she probably wouldn't have listened to me so quietly. She heard me out until I was done without making any quips, and I wanted to think that was proof. I did kind of feel like I was grasping at straws. Of course, thinking back on it, it was a terrible thing to discuss. I mean, I went to my friend's house, called her a serial murder, and then told her to kill Satoko's uncle. Yeah, that's not a normal string of thoughts. I was the only one talking the whole time. Mion quietly listened to everything I had to say, like a pastor listening to a confession. She could only have gotten angry partway through, told me off, and to go wash my face in miso soup and come back later. But she didn't. Was that proof that Mion's family, the Sonozaki family, were the masterminds? Or was she just listening because she felt sorry for me kind of going crazy? Good luck at work. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you have a good day. I didn't know which it was. But it was one effort I could make at the moment. It was another form of insurance. Should the worst come to worst and the public agency decided to wait and see. It was a completely useless resistance, literally grasping at straws. Sensei said that she reported it to the Child Consultation Center. They'd have to respond on the same day. Could they already be in the middle of responding to it now? If Satoko came to school tomorrow morning all energetic, then everything would be just a needless fear. Why couldn't tomorrow come faster? That night was unusually hot and humid, and I couldn't get to sleep. I said all that to Sensei. They couldn't possibly decide to wait and see again this year. Satoko, what was it like for her tonight? Had she tasted the end of her nightmare, enjoying a night of liberation? I actually put my hands together and prayed into my futon. Good morning, Kichi-kun. Morning. Thank goodness. I thought you'd oversleep today, too. Your mom said you'd gone on ahead yesterday and you weren't at school. I was worried that you'd gotten heat stroke halfway there. Yeah, I'm very sorry for all the worry I caused you yesterday. Hey, good morning. Oh, hello, Fatherly Shire. Thank you for the follow. I'm a little surprised my alert didn't go off, but hello. Hey, good morning. Michan, good morning. Wow, you really stink of liquor. You'll get found out for sure. Oh, right. Wasn't there a big business meeting with all the people in the town council yesterday? They only called it that. It was more like a party. We have the festival every year, right? We wouldn't have annoying meetings at this point. Are you going to help out with the festival this afternoon, then? Nope. Nope. Uh-huh. Why am I not surprised? Hold on, I gotta do things for this. Well, I've at least reported and blocked them. I'm still not entirely sure how to get rid of it, but that's okay. We're learning. I've been a mod for how long? Go help with the festival this afternoon. Yep. I have to do a meet and greet with all sorts of people at Grandma's place, so in fact, we'll just... Move that right along. Besides, they already started setting up for the festival. Our morning conversation was lighthearted as usual. It looked like Mion had thankfully forgotten about how I'd barged into her house yesterday with that crazy talk. The more I think back on it, I felt like I'd really said something terrible to her, because you did. I was really thoughtless, and it wouldn't have been weird if she had yelled at me. It was highly possible Takano-san had exaggerated her story. To think that our comrade and friend Mion, the young leader of the Sonozakis, one of the three families was effectively controlling Hinamizawa, was pulling the strings behind the serial death incidents, that was a little unbelievable. But if there was even a 1% chance that it was true, then what I said yesterday to Mion might have been a success. Yes, it was more than 1 in 100. A little bit of effort might have been brought on the chance of saving Satoko even a tiny bit. At least I'd made that effort. After yesterday ended, I was sure I'd done everything I possibly could. If there was something else I could do, it was probably just to clap my hands and pray that Satoko's uncle would be killed by the curse. I hope Satoko makes it today. Me too. Sensei is doing things for her, right? I'm sure it'll be fine. My aunt is a welfare agent in the Hinamizawa district. I gave her a call last night. Huh? I didn't know your aunt was a welfare officer. What happened? Did you tell her about Satoko-chan? Yep. Chie-sensei called the child consultation center right after we talked to her. A child welfare officer apparently visited before the night was over. My aunt said that they were going to pay visits at regular intervals from now on. Enough with the dumb little stuff. I want to know what happened to Satoko. Did they get her safe? My aunt wasn't that informed about it. I was supposed to keep this a secret anyway. Her telling me was a big breach of ethics in the first place. Damn, that makes me feel even worse. Let's go to school. Right. Discussing this more would just make us feel worse. It was far quicker to just go to school and see if Satoko was safe or not. Ryups nodded and ran off. Was Satoko safe? What measure had the child consultation center taken? I didn't care. As long as we could go back to our peaceful life with Satoko today, it didn't matter to me. Place your bets on whether or not this is actually gonna happen. At the shoe racks at the entrance, Rena took a peek at Satoko's shoe cubby. Ah, Satoko's shoes are here! They're here! Hey-chan, Satoko came, thank goodness. We don't know if anything happened just because she came to school. We can't know anything until we see her face. We trotted towards the classroom. The classroom was lively as usual, as it usually was in the morning. Satoko, where are you?
Meep. She's right here.
It's too early in the morning to be so loud. Would you please keep it down a bit?
Satoko-chan,
are you okay? All of our friends crowded around Satoko excitedly. The probation officer came, right? How did it go? Who was it that called them? I swear, it was quite a mess, you know. It was the teacher. You were absent for so long, of course she was worried. Satoko said, I told you I am fine, under her breath. She was still trying to overcome all that suffering on her own. It was a big bother to both me and my uncle. That person just barged in on us suddenly, jeez. Everyone was worried about you, Satoko. Don't say it was a bother. Oh, jeez. Anyway, what happened? Nothing happened. My cold got better, so I came back to school, that's all. I can't take too much time off. Take too much time off from now on because you all worry about me. Ho ho ho. What was Satoko saying? What happened to, well, your uncle? Oh, he admitted there were some misunderstandings and we both apologized. Doug. Rika-chan grabbed the back of my collar and pulled me away. What is it, Rika-chan? Rika-chan silently dragged me all the way into the hallway. Rika-chan, what did that mean? Satoko said nothing was happening and chased them away. That idiot. Why? Why? No, somewhere in my mind I thought it might turn out like this. Satoko didn't ask for anyone's help. She didn't hide behind anyone. She was trying to ride out this pain. She wanted to show Satoshi proof that if he came back to them, she wouldn't need to hide behind him anymore. But Coach said probation officers can bring her to safety in an emergency, even if it's against her wishes. However much Satoko denies the abuse, it's a fact. Chie-sensei finally came. Her expression was far from cheerful. Yes, you're right, Maribara-kun. If the child welfare officer determines that it's an emergency, they have the right to immediately take them to safety, regardless of the affected party's intent. Then why? Why is Satoko intent on being respected so much? It's weird. Why don't they put her into safety? Well, after the person came at the Child Consultation Center looked into it from many angles, they determined... What the hell's that? Sensei, didn't you say it was going to be alright, since you'd definitely save her? What's the meaning of this? This doesn't make any sense. Answer me, damn it. Michi. This was actually the third time someone has reported Satoko's child abuse. It happened twice in the past, too. Urere-san. Sensei tried to stop her, but Rika-chan went on speaking anyway. Twice before. I heard they decided to wait and see after reporting in the winter before last, but it happened before then, too? Satoko's father, who died, wasn't her real father. What? Rika-chan, that's... what? I'm stunned at the sudden revelation. I'd had no idea Rika-chan wanted to tell me, but it seemed really important, so I couldn't get a word in either. Satoko's mother remarried. She brought Satoko and Satoshi with her, so they weren't related by blood to their father. Satoshi was a good kid, one who listened politely to what adults told him. He immediately welcomed their new father and was loved. But Satoko was different. She was rebellious, she told lies, she played pranks. Her stepfather didn't like her at all. What? So what do you mean? Even before she was given to their uncle and his wife, Satoko didn't have a very good relationship with her family. Of course, her stepfather didn't have any malicious intent at the start. At first, he must have worked hard to get his new daughter to accept him. But the young Satoko didn't make any effort at all towards that end. She was distant toward her stepfather and never opened her heart to him even a little. She just got on his nerves all the time, with her seemingly forced lies and pranks. Her father's discipline and punishment must have been loving at first, of course, but that too faded quickly. I didn't know because I wasn't in Hinamizawa at the time, but I learned this on the phone yesterday. What story did you hear, Sensei? That Satoko-chan wanted to trick her parents, especially her stepfather, so she inflicted wounds on herself so that she could make up a false story about abuse. But she sent out an SOS herself. She made up a story about hurting herself. Satoko made a fake phone call to try and get rid of the father she hated. Child welfare officers rushed there and heard the story. Her father genuinely apologized for a few times when he had gone too far and agreed to let the child welfare officer's welfare center give him coaching. Related agencies looked into it quite a bit. They determined that Satoko-chan and her stepfather's hearts not being quite matched up was the cause of the incident. But they found another problem above that, with Satoko-chan. The problem with Satoko? What was it? Satoko's mother. There were a few times where she had lived with de facto husbands, but those relationships didn't result in marriage. From a young age, Satoko had been forced to call at least 2 or 3 people her father. At some point, Satoko's pranks escalated. She would spill food on purpose, turn over her plate, and even throw it. She would break the windows in the neighborhoods and shoplift candy. She would put thumbtacks everywhere and set out traps to seriously hurt people. Not in the way she did now, just to get laughs. She was also fond of telling lies that would be found out right away, and people would get mad at her every time. But she never ever changed her behavior. Please don't think Satoko-chan was a problem child. Satoko-chan was young. It was an act of self-defense that she had taken against the unknown men her mother had chosen. In regards to Satoko's problematic behavior, child psychology experts from public institutions indicated that her actions were to draw in her mother's attention to herself, which makes sense depending on how little she was at the time. They acknowledged that she had a form of harmful emotional trauma and declared that she needed counseling and therapy from professionals, like most of this cast. They didn't know whether that therapy had healed the wounds in her heart. Probably not. They probably needed to continue it for much longer than they did. Satoko-chan purposely hurt herself and told them that she was being abused by her stepfather in an attempt to chase him out. But, in the end, her stepfather did abuse her, right? No. All of the abuse had been made up by Satoko-chan. Her stepfather, of course, may have scolded her in a somewhat emotional way, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. Satoko had lied to chase away her stepfather. And they saw through her right away, and found out that Satoko had issues. Oh, could it be? That's why, the winter before last, they decided to wait and see?
Yes. The Child Consultation Center had their past records. They needed to act carefully in case Satoko was lying.
The hell. So what? Satoko might be telling a lie, so they needed to be careful. So how does that mean they just end up waiting and seeing? It was the girl who cried wolf. Fable, about telling a lie once, making others unwilling to believe it later. That's bullshit. The past had nothing to do with this, does it? Only what's really happening right now is important. Satoko's being abused by her uncle. Why is something that's happening to the past getting in the way of helping her now? Neither Sensei nor Rika-chan had something to say to that. Anyway, yesterday, a probation officer visited to carefully determine what was going on. And Satoko dealt with them, put on the best, strongest smile she could manage, and denied the abuse. Of course, she was probably being threatened to keep quiet about it by her uncle. Satoko was trying to outlast everything without asking for help. Satoko wanted to wait for Satoshi to come back home. And she outright denied the truth about the abuse. What an idiot. What? You're not really enduring it. Do you really think pretending like this will actually bring Satoshi back? Just stop it already. Satoshi, he abandoned you. And the fact that he hasn't shown up to save you now is proof, isn't it? So just stop. Please stop being weird and pretending to endure it. Forget everything we just said. Understand? You tell anyone else your teacher will be very mad with you. Sensei gave me a warning, then left to go back to the teacher's lounge.
Ichi.
Please don't think Satoko is a pathetic, pitiful girl. I mean, she kinda is, but again, depending on how old she is, that's a lot of trauma for a young child to go through. She's living life. I know that. She's our irreplaceable friend.
Satoko is still trying her best. She is. Let's watch over her a little longer. The person from the consultation center said they visit periodically from now on. If something terrible happens, they'll help her right away. Yeah, but only after it happens. Any more than that would have sounded like I was picking a fight, so I firmly swallowed my next words and went back to the classroom. Mion and Rena were talking to Satoko like they always did. It was a silly conversation. A humorous, even fun one, like it was any old day. Satoko really said she could still endure it. Then maybe I should do as Rika-chan said and watch over her. Maybe whatever help I offered would still go unwanted. Is that the halfway point, or is that the end of the chapter? Halfway point. Okay, when do we all have lunch? Beep. It's been a while since it's been all five of us. This is really how it should be. Here. Come on, you too, Kei-chan. Bring your desk over. Satoko brought her own desk over, as well, grinning broadly. Even knowing nothing had been resolved, this exchange was pleasant, and made me remember how fun it used to be. I can't have Rika making a bento for me forever. I don't mind. I have fun making you bento. Rika-chan's such a good girl. Having such a good friend must be so reassuring. I put in the big steak, and Satoko puts in the burned stuff. So it was just Satoko, it wouldn't be so sad. So if it was just Satoko, it wouldn't be so sad. So very sad. Nipa! I take it back. Well, she's Rika-chan after all. Hey, come on, look. I've got omelet rice today. Mushrooms and stuff are delicious. Delicious. How? I say it every time, but your craftsmanship is splendid. You could become a wife, whenever, and not have a problem. A wife? Eating? A wife? How? Using the word wife is totally forbidden around Rena. Please don't say it again. I'll think about what I've done a little. By the way, what's in your lunch, Mion? It looks different again today. We're all waiting in anticipation. It's a rich assortment of side dishes left over from what my uncle brought last night. Looks really great, huh? The color of the radishes, too. Really good, right? Wow, it looks delicious. Stew tastes best when it's left overnight. Looks like it would be really good. And so there'll be none left for Satoko. I'll eat it all and tell you what I think, so just be quiet and watch. What was that? Hand over my portion too. Elbow punch, headbutt. I'll use my knees too. Oh yeah. Oh, at close range, like this, my advantage is unwavering. Keiichi-san, the daikon in your portion tastes really good. Damn it, coming right for me from the start and using a combo attack. How humiliating. This little exchange, how long had it been? Looked like they'd ended up going with the wait-and-see approach, but maybe her uncle had realized he'd gone a little too far and would dial it back now. If her treatment improved a little, wouldn't that be a good thing? Satoko was grinning wider than I'd ever seen as she chomped down on her mouthful of daikon radish. She plundered from me. Did it really taste that good? Satoko was somewhat cute like that. And just as I'd done many times, I'd grabbed her head and started petting it. Catch. Smack. Flip-flop. Clatter.
Huh? Satoko-chan? It was so sudden that for a moment I didn't know what had happened. The back of my hand was stinging. I went to pet Satoko's head, and then she hit my hand. What's wrong, Satoko? Satoko was scratching at her head, as though a pimple or something had appeared on it and became itchy. It was so sudden and so unprovoked that I didn't understand what happened. What's wrong, Satoko? At some point her body had been covered in a thin layer of sweat, and her breathing had turned ragged. When I pet her head, she did not like it. Did she not like it? Was that what it meant? Hey, did you just like being petted? Once again, slowly, I held the palm of my hand and brought it close to Satoko's head. Do not! In the instant the palm of my hand touched her head, there was a shock like static electricity, and Satoko began to howl. Thud, slam. She grabbed my arm in both hands, as if it was flinging a snake trying to cling to her, and if trying to throw away something dirty, she threw it violently. It happened too suddenly for me to react. I hit the desk behind me, and both it and I fell to the floor. The classroom fell deathly silent. As Satoko bellowed, it sounded like she was in the throes of death, and she unsteadily backed away. Ugh, ugh. Then she threw up the food she'd just eaten. She vomited it all back up. Splish splat. The sound of Satoko's vomiting hit the floor and rang out through the classroom. Trigger warning for vomit. I'm sorry. Are you okay, Satoko? You seem sick. I reached out a hand, and she swatted it away with all her might. With such extreme strength that I fell onto the floor again. Do not touch the child! Satoko put both her hands on her head as though protecting it, groaned some more, and took a few steps back. And then she began swinging both her hands around. Students nearby seats were forced to evacuate. She grabbed anything within reach, bento boxes, chairs, threw them, tossed them, and flung them about. Wait, stop it, Satoko. What's wrong with you? She screamed out, as if Mion's word had caused her physical pain. No one spoke a word to her. All the students were withdrawing behind us, leaving Satoko alone in the corner of the classroom. Around her, there were desks and chairs all over the floor. Bento lay scattered. It was terrible. This is fine! This is clearly fine! All I could hear was Satoko's ragged breaths and the voices of the cicadas. I'm sorry. The strings of tension loosened around Satoko, and maybe she suddenly grew scared of her own actions because she started trembling and gave a word of apology. But nobody knew just who that apology was directed towards. So for now, I decided to answer as everyone's representative. No, it's fine. Are you all right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The words didn't match each other at all. Satoko hugged her shoulders, and back she went. Bang. She ran into the locker with the cleaning supplies in it. Even that made her give a little yelp. The impact caused the bucket atop the locker to fall, making a loud sound, and that scared Satoko most of all. She almost jumped out of her skin, grabbing a bunch of curtain with her hands. Nobody spoke to her. They could only look, not even remembering to blink. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Oh. Satoko. What? What on earth? I stood up and took a step away from everyone and approached Satoko. What happened? I said, I don't know. You're wrong. Please stop. Please forgive me. Just calm down. Sadako, do you know who I am? No more. I hate this. Every time I took a step forward, she grasped at the curtains more tightly and cried out, Sadako, it's me. It's Keiichi. Don't you recognize me? I would never, ever hurt you.
No! Well.
Come on, calm down.
That's alright, I'm your friend. Help me. I don't want to be scared. It feels bad. No, I don't.
Suddenly, my shoulders were grabbed and I was dragged backwards. It was Rena.
Sorry, Keiichi-kun.
You get a little farther back. After pulling me back, she ran towards Satoko in my place.
It's okay, Satoko-chan. There's nothing to be scared of. Please don't worry. No more of that. Ugh, Nini. Help me. Nini, help me.
She gripped the curtains and kept calling for Nini. She continued to wail about being forgiven for something, and then to be saved from something. What is this? Ugh. Mia gnashed her teeth and groaned, and there were tears falling from her firmly closed eyes. What the hell? What is this? Didn't this all come to an end yesterday? No! No! The psychological damage is still there, my guy! Weren't we supposed to go back to our old lives? No! Not without some serious therapy. Mion! Ugh. Crash. It was a crazy sound. Rana had taken the cleaning supplies locker and kicked it down to the ground. Everyone stood surprised at Rana's unexpected act of brutality. After that, Rana embraced the bawling Satoko from behind and started crying with her, stifled. Rana, what's wrong?
Sorry. Keiichi-kun, be quiet for a minute.
What is it now? What happened? What did Satoko tell you? What did you hear?
Shut the hell up. I told you to shut your mouth, asshole.
Rena's raw, hostile emotion hit me like a brick. It's no more than a momentary howl of emotion for Rena, but it was more than that for me. She'd shown me what was behind all that emotion, what was in her heart.
Oh, Satoko, John. No more. Forgive us. We couldn't do anything for you. Forgive us. Nini.
I'm sorry.
Oh, forgive us for being unable to do anything.
Rena's words made me feel as though the blood vessels in the back of my head were suddenly all turning to ash. My vision grew distant, blurred with gray, and the words and the world lost its color. Literally. I thought we could save Satoko. But though I knew it'd be sooner the better, I thought there was no time limit for doing that. I never ever dreamed that we could be too late. I'd been making a huge mistake. I thought Satoko could be hurt, but never that she'd break. It was such a huge mistake. People, they break. Thinking that they don't is absolutely absurd. We needed to save Satoko. We needed to save her before she broke. That fatal lapse in awareness had brought this on. Whose fault was it? That went without saying. Mine. No, ours. We all took it on the duty of saving Satoko, but we were negligent to the point of laziness. You are teenagers! There is only so much you can do. In that sense, this was the inevitable result. Even if this didn't happen today, and it happened tomorrow or the day after, or next week, we would just have sat around and done nothing until that day. So this was the obvious result. I slumped down to my knees, just as Mion and Rika-chan had done. And I too closed my eyes tight, couldn't stop myself from sobbing. What was all that noise about? Wait, what's happened? The teacher came and her face screwed up at the terrible spectacle before her. The instant she realized the teacher was here, Satoko went through another complete change. She wiped her face with the curtains, and it was like nothing had happened, and smiled. Wajo-san? What on earth is going on here?
I just got into a little squabble with Rana-san, that's all. We went a little crazy over the launches, right?
Rana didn't nod in reply, but then, since Satoko wished it, she nodded without strength. The rest of the class couldn't keep up with her extreme change. We all just stared, in a daze.
It was just a little horseplay. I scared everyone out of their wits.
Sadako would probably sweep the whole thing under the rug. For what? Her art is torn into pieces. So what else? You needed to help, didn't you? But unfortunately for you, Satoshi doesn't ever intend on coming back. It's never that easy. He wouldn't just conveniently show up and save you. So, you don't have to wait for him anymore. You can cry, beg for help, and you can run away. We can't do anything, Yon suddenly said. She spoke then, those few words that had tormented me countless times. Those words were a spell, and when I heard them, my whole body suddenly regained its calm. My emotions all slipped away like they'd never been. Like they'd never been there. Like a wave departing. And then the whole world's color flipped inside out. My field of view expanded. My head grew remarkably cold, and I felt like my mind's volume had grown even wider than the classroom we were in. Oh, he's having a big brain moment. At the time, my soul was doubtlessly no longer in the small, petty vessel of my head, but floating in the air, a little above it. It was a mysterious feeling of release. I broke free from the cramped confines of my skull and stretched out my roots in all directions as far as I wanted to. It was a strange feeling, one that I never felt ever before. A sense of exhilaration. My sharpened senses caused me to transcend. My mind was sharper than a knife's edge, and I immediately decided that spending the time to let myself be crushed with grief would be an absolute waste. I erased all the garbage information from my brain. I expelled the pointless emotions presented, the obstacles to action. Mion, you curse it all you want. Curse our powerlessness as much as you want. Huh? If I could have taken back what had happened by crying about it, I'd have cried all day. But the fact is, this is how things turned out. I couldn't take back what had happened. Top priority now would be to prevent the situation from worsening further, and to sever the chains of misfortune. Until today, I've been looking at things so narrowly, I could scarcely believe it! To save Satoko. The only thing to do was to save Satoko. That's the only thing I thought about. I didn't allow myself to realize the most basic, direct, and certain way of removing the source of Satoko's unhappiness. No, actually, I realized it yesterday. But as for the means, I'd relied on some stupid curse from some dumb deity. I'd never considered carrying out the task myself. Oh no! I would obliterate Satoko's. Oh no! There were plenty of ways to do it. This was a task that held infinite methods. Ironically, the method for saving Satoko required mostly money. The method of killing that man pretty much took no money at all. I could kill him with the least amount of investment. The least amount of money suited him. It was only the weight of his life. I kept eliminating needless, worthless information from my head, replenishing it with the knowledge that I needed to achieve my goal. Oh no! Oh no! Keiichi murdered the internet! Okay, are we back? Hi, Belle! Yeah, are we back? Because Keiichi murdered the internet for a minute. Okay, we're back. Hi, Belle! Hugs for you too. I'm glad to see you. Okay, I used every brain cell. I used every cell in my brain to think about how I'd kill him. The way I'd kill him didn't matter. I would allow any method from whatever time in whatever country as long as it ended quick and certain death. We are going to spiraling. If I were to have an additional condition, it'd be not to get caught.
Hello, hello! How have you been?
Removing him was an act designed to return to the peaceful time we had with Satoko. Never mind that she also needs a lot of therapy. If I was arrested in exchange for the removal, then we might as well have killed each other. Existing is fine. I'm glad you're still existing. With only him gone, we'd go back to our normal lives. That was my supreme objective. My ultimate goal. Kill him. Definitely. This is a tough chapter, but we're having a good time. But definitely don't leave any evidence either. Two alternatives at odds with one another. Then the condition of not leaving a trace back to me automatically narrowed the number of murder methods. No witnesses was an absolute must. Fortunately, given the right time in Hinamizawa, where nobody would be around, I mentally reconstructed the land around Satoka's house. Then a number of pedestrians different at different times. Yeah, this is a tough chapter, but because it mostly deals with child abuse, which is always a fun subject. I say with sarcasm. It's not cool. Number of pedestrians at different times, and so our main character is deciding to take action into his own hands and kill a man. Also not recommended. The movement algorithm of the neighbors. Would I lure him out or charge at him? What would my weapon be? When and where would I carry this weapon? Where it needed to be somewhere I wouldn't leave a trace. When it needed to be as soon as possible for Satoko's safety without wasting even a millisecond. This is absurd, completely absurd, but we're going with it anyway. When I thought about it this way, it struck me how easily the act of killing was. If I could leave evidence, if it was just going, hello, welcome back. We are interrupted by a cat. If I could just kill him, anyone could easily turn into a murderer. Hello. Hello. Oh, hi. Hello. But our reason prevented that. Hello. It told us doing so would get us arrested for sure. In the end, being arrested by the police was the final thing preventing people from committing homicide. Absurd. If you went all the way out into the very middle of the ocean, you wouldn't leave any trace at all. Anyone could drop those they hated into the depths if they knew that. Oh wow, we are just spiraling. It was all too easy to simply remove him. I could leave the class right now, grab a metal baseball bat or something from the schoolyard, and go to his house and attack him. Hi, baby. Hello. Yeah, sure. Estimated time would be 25 minutes. If I ever wanted us to kill each other, it wouldn't even be minutes. It could be done in 1,500 seconds. I knew just how much his continued existence depended on me. Hi, baby. Hi. He was nothing. I could expel him from this world with just 1,500 seconds after making up my mind. You know. From when I decided what to do, he only had 1,500 seconds. Actually, if I ran full speed to his house, that number would go down even further. Kiichi, please.
but he was alive. He was still part of this world at this very moment, having torn Satoko's body and mind to shreds. Why? Because I was letting him live. I was permitting him to live, so he was alive. If I rescinded that permission, he would be evacuating this mortal coil within 1,500 seconds. Kate, she's totally fine. You'd think I'd let you live to breathe even 1,500 seconds more of the air? I'm taking that permission back, right here, right now. Better thank me for letting you live until today. However, I actually need more than 1,500 seconds. Hold on. Excuse me. Okay. You can settle back down again. It was just slightly tight with how you were sitting on the cord for the headphones. Okay, needs more than that. I'm not just gonna end you. Getting back at our old lives is far more important. It's only you. I'll be cleanly cutting out of this world. I won't find a culprit. I'll forget that I dirtied my hands on the likes of you as naturally as I brush my teeth before bed. So to do that, I'll make a special exemption for you and give you more than 1,500 seconds. Hi, Ma. I'll give you special permission to keep on living as you have until I construct the perfect plan for your murder. Wait, Keiichi. You can't let that time go to waste. Yeah, I know. I'll kill him quickly. I'll remove him with certainty. I won't misuse any time to think of a plan. Think back, tomorrow is the Watanagashi, isn't it? Last year, on the night of the Watanagashi, her aunt died. Her head was bust open by some deviant and her brain splattered everywhere. That's it. He was someone who deserves to be given the death on the night of the Watanagashi. It's like if you can't do it, someone can't do it, you do it yourself. Hey, Oyashiro-sama? You call yourself a guardian, but you didn't protect Satoko. Cursing Satoko's family for the damn stuff is your own business, but now you've made Satoko unhappy when she didn't do anything with it. She didn't have anything to do with it. I, Keiichi Maribara, hereby denounce you, the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, a failure. Oh no! Throwing hands. Hello. We don't need you. Go back to the deepest, darkest part of your shrine this year. Besides, if you had just cursed and killed both her aunt and her uncle last year, none of this would have ever happened. There you go. Hello. The curse this year. It's not on you. I'll be the one deciding. It won't be the three families controlling the serial deaths behind the scenes, no. Not some vague people who I can't tell if they're buffoons or not this time. I'll just be the one to deliver divine judgment. So don't get in my way, just watch. Stay quiet and watch. I'll obliterate them. I'll wipe him off the face of this earth. I will. Stomp out his very existence. Go away. Disappear. And die. I'll tear your heart apart just like you did to Satoko. I'll have your blood as payment. Warga. So, yeah, this can only go well. Okay. Keiichi-kun or your... No. Reina, Mion, and Rika-chan were all looking after me. Had I fallen on the floor? You surprised us. You suddenly fell down. Were you having a nightmare? Here, let me get back over there. Get the mouse over there. You were moaning. Why? Why? Stay over there. Shut it. Quit squeaking at me like that. Beep. My friends gave a start before and backed away. What? Ran and the others, they were exchanging glances, unsure as what to say, and stood confused for a few moments. Was that your voice, Keiichi-kun?
Of course it was. Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth.
For a second, Keiichi-kun, your eyes were really scary.
My eyes? Probably just to trick up the light. Don't waste my time. I'm not mistaken. I've never seen those kinds of eyes before. Oh, what? What are these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately. Gee, I wonder why.
You're Keiichi Maibara-kun, right?
What was Rana saying? Who else do I look like except Keiichi Maibara? The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized. Huh.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, this is fine. This is absolutely fine. Alright, I think I'll just go through the tips and I'll call it a little early. Because I was only planning for going for about 2 hours anyway. Oh wait, excuse me. I want to do the exit. View new tips. Emergency. June 18th, 1983. Abuse issue regarding Satoka Hojo urgent. Satoka Hojo must be taken into immediate custody based on the items below. 1. Family situation. Life with adoptive father who recently returned to Hinamizawa has already turned disastrous, and she is currently subject to unendurable physical and mental abuse from the father. Child Consultation Center's response. The child's probation officer was dispatched yesterday on the 17th from the Prefecture Welfare Office, but because of the 77 case, changed to continued coaching and cautionary action. Unfortunately, the consultation office head does not properly understand the situation. Status of the concerned child. Child already appears to be suffering from an outbreak of something close to neurosis or manic depression. If her unstable prepubescent mind is negatively put her development of healthy body and mind at risk. This cannot be allowed to continue from a humane standpoint. Allegations made to the family court. We propose, based on the above items, that Satoka Hojo should immediately be secured temporarily under emergency allegations of the family court under Article 28. We request that emergency coordination between all related agencies. Fukujisho D12, D23, number 44, 1977. Child name, Satoka Hojo. Less than 10. Residence, Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. Consultation circumstances. Telephone SOS from child abuse. Abuse situation. Child claims she's being physically abused by her adoptive father. Family structure. 0 marked abusers. Adoptive father, real mother, older brother, child in question. Note, adoptive father and real mother entered family registry in 19 whatever. Child is the daughter of the mother's previous husband. Child Consultation Center's response. On the day of the child's telephone consultation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. On that day, the child welfare officer on duty visited the child's house and conducted an interview. The adopted father sincerely listened to instructions and agreed to take the child to raising workshops in the city from now on. As part of the suggested coaching, the center continued to observe the situation. Other notes. As a result of numerous counseling sessions at the city's education consultation office regarding the child, we learned that there is a high probability of the cause of the child's excessive distrust towards her adoptive father was the result of the lack of communication. The abuse she claimed hadn't actually taken place. She made a false report to distance herself from her adoptive father. Below is a note written in pencil by the person on duty at the time. The problem appears to be more with the daughter. Chief Investigator F of the city's educational consultation office said that most of her stories of abuse were likely fabrications. They decided to shift the focus of their coaching to the child. Be cautious not to take everything the child says as truth. Oof. Actually, let's go a little bit further. We'll save, though. Save. Okay, end of chapter 8. We'll go a little bit further. I lied. But yeah, there's a common theory that since the young Satoko had to call various other adults her father or stepfather, she confuses who and what is happening. So yeah, Anyway, moving on. Me and the others, having set up for the Watanagashi festival and something, invited me along, but I refused. Of course I did. How could they be taking it easy and setting up for a festival in this situation? Mian had a lot of nerve. The first thing I did when I got back was to take a shower. Not because I wanted to wash off sweat. It was because I wanted to be even calmer. I already understood this, but killing a man would be so very easy. The really hard thing to do was not getting arrested for it, so we could go back to our peaceful days. As I thought about it, I realized it wasn't easy. Japan's police force have the highest arrest rate in the world. I would need to deceitfully pull off the perfect crime, and it couldn't be a half-hearted attempt. Still, it wasn't 100%. Even the best police force in the world couldn't have a 100% arrest rate. I've read a lot of articles on trials with people brought up on false charges. They do a lot to determine whether they really were false accusations, but figuring out who the real criminal was is usually out of the question. And that meant perfect crimes did exist. In fact, perfect crimes were the sort of works of art. They could even be represented, respected, and revered. You just had to look at the inauguration of mystery novels everywhere throughout history. They dealt with all sorts of difficult-to-solve incidents, including secret rooms and alibis and stuff, but they all wanted to show one thing. They wanted to show the beauty of a perfect crime. There was something divine in the flawlessness of the word perfect. Yes, perfect crimes were skills of the gods. And in that sense, the serial freak deaths they were calling the curse of Yashiro-sama, I understood that they must have been the works of gods. Each one appeared to have been resolved, but they couldn't stop it from happening every year. Yeah, skills belonging only to gods. Those are perfect crimes. Keiichi is not okay! And I thought I would be setting up my own crime before Yashiro-sama's a series of perfect crimes 4 years in the running. If I were able to pull it boldly, I was challenging a god. Foolhardiness would be needed to make the decision, but I needed to be calm, cool, colder than ice, to put that plan together. Kill him like a flame, but as systematic as ice. Starting now, I would need to retain both these ideas within me. Molding my crime after a mystery novel wasn't actually a bad thing to focus on. Sometimes kidnappings involved disturbing original methods that made it to the newspapers were used as the basis for novels after the person was arrested. Stuff like that made it into the news. Day and night, for a very long time, mystery novel authors polished and refined their most fantastic artistic crimes. Imitating that could only be a shortcut to finding the perfect crime in a short period of time. Of course, I hadn't read enough mystery novels to act all high and mighty about them. The one who really liked mystery novels was my mom. She'd read every well-known mystery novel from overseas, from past and present. Every time she watched a mystery shows, she would always criticize it for having cheap tricks or being poorly thought out. Like me. I wonder what the perfect crime would mean to her. But to be fair, writing a good mystery is really hard. What do I think the most well-done perfect crime in all mystery novels I've read is? Yeah. Well, you read quite a lot of them, right? I figured you might know a lot about them. It's more fun to read them to find out. If I told you all the tricks right off the bat, they'd be no fun anymore. It wasn't like I was asking for my own amusement. She was deflecting the question, so I would somehow butter up first to draw out an answer. Of course, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None is my top recommendation. Nice. That is a classic for a reason. It is still one of the best whodunits. And Murder on the Orient Express used some great bold tricks, too. Of course, I didn't see it coming at all. Another good choice. Agatha Christie is actually a really good. You'll want to get into mysteries. She established a lot of the tropes. And I personally hold the view that And Then There Were None and Murder on the Orient Express are kind of flip sides of the same coin once you realize what the twists are. But anyway, I didn't want to know which novels you liked. I want to know about the trick that made you the most surprised. If it was really the perfect trick, the detectives wouldn't be able to solve the case, though. That was true. Then there'd be no point. Mystery novels are enjoyable because it's the process of the mysteries getting solved. If it was unsolvable, it wouldn't make for a very good topic of a novel. I get it. Yeah, you're right. If the main character can't solve it, it wouldn't be much of a story, huh? Was I being too simplistic? A mystery novel was basically a game. They were written so that you can get to the goal so that you could solve them. But I couldn't use something so optimistic. Yeah, I really want to see the I actually really like Kenneth Branagh's adaptations. They are wild, but they still keep to the the general premise. I really do want to see A Haunting in Venice, but I want to be able to control the volume because I could just guarantee you they'd have jump scares up the wazoo for that. But I really like his Poirot. It's fun. So that we could, without a doubt, return to our old lives. By the way, Keiichi, do you understand that truly perfect crimes don't even become stories? Mom looked at me intellectually and grinned impishly. I'd never gotten to read it, but apparently one time, a long time ago, Mom had written her own mystery novel and submitted it to some mystery novel award. Good for you, Mom! Apparently, she was really into it. Don't even become stories. What does that mean? Keiichi, what are the essential parts of a story? A beginning, a middle, and an end? Yes. Correct. The beginning, of course, is especially important, which is why beginnings can be really hard. If there's no beginning, then the story never starts. This is why some people do in medias res. Well, yeah. If nothing happened, nothing would begin. Right. Nothing happened, so there wouldn't even be an incident. Detectives wouldn't be called, so there wouldn't be any mystery. There would be no mystery, so there would be no solution. In other words, it would have to be the ultimate perfect crime. Wait a second. Could you explain that again? My mom just told me something absurd. And she was saying it so smoothly, too. I kind of tuned her out, but she said something extremely important just now. It's not really that difficult to understand. The incident would just have to never come to light, that's all. Which is fair. Just has to never come to light. For example, how about this? Say there's an old man living deep in the forest nobody goes into. Uh-huh. And then one day, the man gets killed by an axe. Let's say the criminal was the old man's son. He went to the old man's house and they were drinking together, but they got into a fight and he killed him. What an extremely cheap plot. You know, a lot of real-life murder mysteries have been exactly that stupid. It was an impulsive crime without a bit of planning. Yeah, this is, I believe, exactly what she is saying. And this is why it's in the middle of a forest. It was pretty far from the perfect crime. But Keiichi, the house was really deep into this forest. So deep in the mountains that nobody would ever go out that far. Then his son would go back to town and say, that old man was doing fine. That the old man was doing fine. What about that is the perfect crime? Keiichi, this incident would only begin when it was found out that the man was killed. If nobody ever visited the old man's house after that, the beginning would never occur. Which, again, there have been multiple old cases before, long distance communication was really a thing, where all somebody would have to do would write to the family and go, oh yeah, I'm fine, Merry Christmas, and then you find out that they had been dead for months and somebody had faked the letter. The beginning would never occur. That is an actual thing that has happened multiple times. So basically, the story wouldn't start. The incident wouldn't come to light, and they wouldn't call in the detectives. And nobody would be suspicious in the first place, so there'd be no mystery. They'd think the old man was still living by himself deep in the forest. And then, if they came across him, it's like, oh look, he died. And the old man's face would appear in the sky, and that would be it. Something like that, That's amazing. That's a pretty great trick. But it wouldn't be a novel. Mystery novels are for entertainment, after all. They can't be instruction manuals for perfect crimes. Here's Mom coming in with the hard facts. I was trying hard to talk cheerfully to fool her, but inside I was excited. Special tools, strange geography, mysterious drugs, traps involving huge sums of cash. None of them were needed for perfect crimes. The important thing was that there wasn't a beginning. As long as the incident didn't come to light, it would be fine. Speaking broadly, if I could kill him without anyone finding out, which, good luck with that, my guy. And dispose of the corpse somewhere no one could find would be basically already a perfect crime. Of course, if someone up and vanished one day and all of a sudden people would get suspicious. Hi, Liv, welcome back. Our main character has spiraled into wanting to commit murders. But that didn't apply to this man. Last year, after their aunt died, he ran away from the village in fear of a Yashiro-sama. Yeah, yeah, we have only gotten worse. When the night of the Wat Nagashi came around again, everyone would have to think that he ran away in fear again. He had been living with his lover, with the lover of his in town. No matter what it felt like when he vanished, no one would be suspicious. People hated him, after all. Which, again, that's how a lot of older serial killers worked. I think I've mentioned Burke and Hare before, but they specifically went after the lower people of society that people wouldn't look for or miss, and they were quite successful in the medical bodies trade, as it were. No one would care if he went and disappeared. When I thought about it like that, it got easier and easier to imagine killing him. There was no point in thinking inside my house anymore. Oh, what could possibly go wrong? I left, getting my bike out of the garage. For now, it didn't matter where I was going. I just rode through the wind, trying to calm my excitement by feeling the cold air on my body. Where I'd kill him, how I'd do it, what time, and how to dispose of the corpse. I just had these 4 things that could get a good plan going. I was so surprised at how little there was to decide that I shivered. I'd been completely prepared, built this humongous plan over a really long time. But I could just get these little things in order. I could put it into motion. Today was Saturday. I would have to kill him on the night in the Nagashi, so as long as I was standing in for Yashiro-sama, I had only 24 hours remaining. Oh no, Stoko. Just hang on for 24 more hours. Oh no, I can't even imagine having to suffer through even more, but please hold out just a little longer. I know you can't even last another second. I know that. But please, just hold out. Your Nini will save you for sure. This is fine. Outside, it was still early enough for the cicadas to be crying. Early afternoon. Evening was still a long way off. I looked at the sky at some point. It had gotten cloudy. Come to think of it, as I left the house, I heard on the TV that the weather forecast was calling for a chance of rain on Sunday. The sky was the color of lead. Well, color. Oof. If I had heard a little of thunder, I definitely had to expected a sudden evening shower. My first destination was school. Before explaining why I was going there, I needed to explain what method for killing that man I had decided upon. I decided on the most suitable death, the one I needed to give him. It was the same as last year's curse. The same as the punishment their aunt had received. Being beaten to death. So I'm gonna go get a metal bat. It's fine. Wouldn't beating him to death be somewhat unreliable? You may think that stabbing him with a blade would be more reliable. But this was something I had chosen after a lot of thought. You just needed to think realistically. The law, it prohibited carrying any blades longer than 10 centimeters, I think. So the blades available to me, though long enough, were limited to things shorter than a ruler. You could probably understand how tricky it would be for such short reach to go up against an opponent that might fight back. In that case, using a weapon with reach would be far more effective. It might not have been the same precision, you just had to hit the guy until you killed him. Both options resulted in death. With that settled, what weapon would be most terrifying force behind it, but it would also be easy to carry around? By this point, you should immediately think of a metal baseball bat. I don't need to explain how terrifying metal baseball bats can be as a weapon. Of special note is the fact that you can carry one around in broad daylight and not be thought of as suspicious. Just those 2 points would have been enough to choose the metal bat for my weapon. But there was one more reason for choosing a metal bat in particular. We'll speak about it later. After school on Saturday, my classmates were still having fun playing in the schoolyard. I could show up there and it would be the same as always, so nobody would think I'm suspicious. Getting my hands on a weapon without looking suspicious was actually a factor I couldn't ignore. I didn't normally play baseball, so when I went to the sports store looking for a metal bat, it would definitely be suspicious. I can't let there be the beginning of the story, so I needed to be really careful about that. That left school. At the location which my appearance wouldn't be suspicious, I would acquire the weapon. I checked inside the classroom through the window, but of course there was nobody there. The only students who would stay there were me and the others doing club activities. Without us, the classroom after school was just an empty, unused room. Without glancing around nervously, as if I'd just gone into something I'd forgotten, I'd casually went into the entrance. It looked like the teachers were busy with paperwork in the teacher's lounge. I didn't see her in the hallway. Naturally, yet quick, as a shadow I entered the classroom. The empty room was full of strange, stagnant air that you couldn't feel normally. An empty classroom, with nobody here. Maybe while no one is around, the desks creep about on their own accord, licking the floors clean of dirt. If I suddenly stepped into a place like that, with the desks in their surprise fly at me, crush my bones, and eat me alive. Keiichi, when did we get to Junji Ito? That's ridiculous. I felt regret at wasting valuable time thinking on such stupid delusions. Yeah, our main character's totally fine. The students' lockers were lined up in the back of the classroom. The one I was looking for wasn't my own. It was a forbidden locker, one I had accidentally discovered one day. Here it is. Hojo. That had to be it. If one person has one locker, then why would only Satoko have two? I'd made a fuss about it once. After that I learned it was Satoshi's locker, and he had the same last name as her. But of course, even though there was a locker, for a student no longer here, looking inside it was still a shameless act. But one time, I let my curiosity get the better of me, and took a peek inside. Inside was an average and worthless. At the time, I hadn't been interested, so, until now, I'd forgotten what had been in it. But now that I dared to say, it awakened. I remembered the thing that had been there. Scrape. I opened the locker, and the stench of mold and sweat wafted out, like a gym storehouse that hadn't been cleaned in weeks. My face puckered at the stench, but I looked for it. Yes. Satoshi was on Coach's baseball team. Inside the locker was a Hinamizao's fighter's uniform, and it. One Satoshi used. Metal bat. Yes. This was the reason I wanted to choose this bat. This murder would be carried out by me. This wasn't originally my role. It was Satoshi's. Boy howdy! We'll get to that! But I would stand in for him, and call myself Satoko's Nini. It was one of the rules, standing in for him. I reached for the metal bat and grasped it firmly. It was light, and yet the tip had enough heft to it, enough to easily imagine the horror if I brought it down with all my might. Satoshi, I'll give you one last chance to save your sister. Lend me your strength. You're a coward, but I will stand in for you. So if you still care a little bit about her, you will lend me your strength. There's no more suitable weapon in the world for putting that man to death than your bat. Now I just needed to figure out where to hide it. Tomorrow, before the act, I would stop by the school and grab it. Because I couldn't ignore the possibility someone would see me bringing it home and thinking it was strange. But if I left it here, it wouldn't be a problem. Plus, tomorrow was Sunday. Not only that, it was the day of the biggest festival in the whole village. Nobody would be coming to school. I left out the entrance and went over to a construction vehicle parked nearby. We'd been warned by our teacher not to touch it, just for laughs, so none of the kids would come near the vehicle either. They wouldn't, because if she found out they touched it, they'd be in huge trouble. I quietly hid it, in the shadow of the vehicle. Chances of someone operating the vehicle tomorrow were slim to none, because tomorrow was Sunday. Government workers had that day off.
Hi, Weedy! Hello, Raiders! How was the rest of Sea of Stars? Was it good? Did you have fun?
Our main character is deciding to murder a man. So, if horror is not your thing, heads up. But yeah, we're in the middle of Higurashi Arc 4. Oh, good, I'm glad. It looked like you were having fun, for the most part. But yeah, thank you for the raid. He's already decided he's deciding how to off a man. At least, from what my classmates had said, the thing had been left here for years now. Machines that haven't been moved in years, you can't just suddenly start them up again. So I was almost definitively fine in this case. The sunlight was piercingly hot. My head grew faint for a moment. Had the heat been this harsh the entire day? The game has some more detail, but honestly, the fact that the anime was able to fit in as much as it did is still pretty impressive, even though the anime had to do a whole little separate filler arc to fill in some of the gaps that had been missed before. But it's very similar. In some ways, it's a little bit more unnerving to just to have the silence and have the different sounds and stuff happen in the game because you, or at least, well, I'm not entirely alone. I have my cat, but you're just reading and watching these characters just slowly descend. It's an interesting experience, and I'm glad I finally got to play them after years of hoping they get localized. And the last game is going to come out in November. It's full of a bunch of side scenarios, so I will probably pick that up at some point. I am slowly. I will finish this. I will stream all of it. It might take me actual years, but I will finish this. Had it been this harsh for the entire day, a moment of dull thought like this was a moment of carelessness. I gave myself a couple of hits on the head and looked around warily. Okay, next. How to dispose of the corpse. Yeah, no, our main character has spiraled. Okay. Let's see if I can finish. Well, since this is the halfway point, let's just finish the chapter. Unless. Nope. Disposing of the corpse. The ultimate way to not create a beginning was to not let the corpse be found. It was even more important than killing him. Thinking of it vaguely, the first thing that came to mind was the swamp. Onigafuchi, the dreadful bottomless swamp, revered even now, that appeared in the legends of Onigafuchi village. Yes, the swamp was called Onigafuchi, was here first, and then the village took its name to become Onigafuchi village. In other words, the swamp was the origin of Onigafuchi village. No one, no matter who it was, would float back to the surface. What?
Hi, Kaito! Thank you for the resub!
Yeah, I'm doing well. Keiichi isn't. Would float back to the surface of this bottomless swamp. Everyone would be swallowed down to the land of the demons below the earth. That was how the stories went. If I wasn't trying to copy Yashiro-sama's curse, then I felt that the theory demanded that I discard the remains and the weapon in the swamp. But they might have said it was bottomless, but I didn't actually know. And the people say large creatures like humans produce a lot of gas when they rot, granting a lot of buoyancy. That's why using fairly heavy objects to hold them people down didn't work. There, person who had to double-check grammar. Come to think of it, with the curse this year before last, Rika-chan's mother drowned herself in the swamp. And the criminal behind the dismemberment that went missing the year the first curse, too, it was rumored he tried to discard the body in the swamp and accidentally drowned in it. I never heard of the corpse coming back up, or them finding it.
Ah, yes, thank you. You gonna come closer? Hi, Hazel. Hello. Hi. Ma. Hazel says hello, everybody. For those who don't know, Hazel is my cat.
I've never heard of a corpse coming back up or them finding it. Then shouldn't I choose to discard the corpse there too?
Hi, sweetie.
Yeah. Oh no, she has decided it's cuddle time. Let's see if I can see. Okay, she decided on a different spot. I could discard the weapon there. And then, for example, if her uncle came out on a motorcycle and attacked, it would be convenient to get rid of the bike, too. I knew that Satoko's uncle generally used a motorcycle for transportation. But as for the corpse... After a lot of worrying, I decided not to discard the corpse in the swamp. Drowning, suicide, and accident were both rumors. Nobody knew if they'd actually happened. There was no lack of false rumors about the drowning suicide anyway, and it was possible that murderer hadn't drowned there and was still on the run. That meant no one had ever confirmed that a corpse being dropped in there and not coming back up. Then what do I do with the body? I thought it might be interesting to go with the first incident and cut him into pieces and hide him, but the preparation and work for dismantling a human body would be difficult given the amount of time I had, and it would be hard work. It's not that easy to do that. With that out of the question, I arrived at the conclusion to go with the more orthodox method of burying the body. Then, where would I bury it was a question related to where I would kill him. Of course I wanted to keep my time in proximity to the body at a minimum. With that in mind, I would dig a hole and then dump the body in beforehand, and make the location of the act and the hole close together. The choice of where to plant the crime that I needed to be absolutely careful with. I had to be somewhere nobody would witness it, and in a hiding place for a sneak attack. I could dig a hole for the body right there. I would go over the possibilities in my head, the various destinations her uncle would head to go from Satoko's house. I imagined a map of the area in my head, and then when I found a place that fulfilled those conditions so easily, it was almost unbelievable. A bit of a back road went through the woods. I didn't think our uncle would go deeper into the mountains of Higurashi on a whim. If he was going somewhere, he'd pass through these woods first. And nobody used this back way unless he had something to do at Satoko's house, or one of two other places. This path was fantastically ideal, as few people used it. I would await for him in these woods. Would ambush actually be possible? I went into the trees and tried really hiding myself in a few places. It was extremely quiet. My senses could be sharpened here for a maximum amount. I didn't know when he'd come, but I'd wait right here for Satoko's uncle. Oh my goodness, this could be days or weeks, my guy! I actually had some trouble coming to that decision. The question arose whether I should somehow call the man out. I mean, it would make the most sense to call him out. Was there a risk I'd be taking luring him here? That man made Satoko do all the shopping and errands. He seldom left on his own business. He would leave. He wouldn't leave unless I worked out a plan to force him out, would he? That was the question. Tomorrow was the Watanagashi festival. Would he go for the festival if he stayed inside? Or would he stay inside? If he stayed inside, how would I drag him out of his house? That's right. Wouldn't he make Satoko go to the festival? Satoko would go to the festival. Meanwhile, I could call the man. This was the Okonomiya police station. We have the young lady from your house. Could you come and pick her up immediately? Didn't even have to be the police. This is the clinic. The young lady from your house has been injured. Please come and pick her up. Yes, that would work too. If I claimed to be at the police or a hospital, told him to come, and then he hung up on him, he'd rush there without trying to figure out what was going on, wouldn't he? And just the other day, when he visited by a probation officer, he wouldn't suddenly grumble about having to get his niece and not go. It would look like child neglect. This man had no skills useful around the house. Satoko, his slave, was essentially part of his daily life. Conclusion. If he went out to the festival, I would attack him here, or on his way, or there or back. If he didn't, I would lure him out by phone. Luring him out by phone was my first step. I would need to be sure Satoko would go to the festival, leaving the house. It would be convenient if I could make Mion take Satoko to the festival. She said her aunt was a district welfare officer. In other words, an ally to a probation officer. If I somehow incited Mion to take Satoko to the festival with her, well, being who she was, she'd use the fact to get her there. Satoko would just take a break and have fun at the festival with everyone. She should have a good time, reminisce on our former peaceful days, and when she went home, everything would be over. Yeah, that would be the best outcome. With that decided, I needed to dig a hole somewhere in the woods to hide the body. so it wouldn't stand out, so it wouldn't be found. Someplace nobody would see me while I was completely exposed as I buried a corpse. I'd wanted to be close to the scene of the crime, but it naturally grew farther away. Deep in the bosom of the Black Forest, the voices of the Higurashi were the only sounds here, informing me that people shouldn't indiscreetly step foot in this place. Digging a hole, huh? He is a dwarf and he's digging a hole. I mean, what? Digging a hole with so many tree roots crawling around in the ground would be far more difficult than I'd envisioned. I snuck a gardening spade out here in my bag, but that wouldn't be enough. No, you'd be at it for hours. Still, as I looked into the various approaches, I managed to find a place I could dig into. Tomorrow, I'd bring a real shovel from the storeroom at home. I'd manage with that. I wonder how big a hole it would have to fit a human all the way into it. I'd probably have to dig pretty deep down. But if I was slipshod in these efforts, I'd let a beginning occur. I absolutely couldn't allow that. Use any amount of time you need to. I mustn't spare any effort to utterly erase him. I glanced at my wristwatch. It was a little past 6. This was probably all I was going to get done here for today. I really wanted to dig a hole in advance tonight, even if it got dark out, but Mom would be upset if I stayed out that late. It wouldn't be good to come off as suspicious to my parents. I needed to go back home and give Mion a call soon. I needed to get her here to promise Satoko to take her by tonight. After that, today would be done. Done. Would it be, though? Was this really everything I could do to prepare right now? I decided where to kill him. I decided how to kill him. I decided, of course, how to dispose of the body. I didn't decide on the time. But I would play that by ear. I didn't have time to way to decide on that. Was that really all? Was that really all right? Have I overlooked anything? Would it really go how I planned? After all this, worries started welling up one after another. Oh, now you're panicking. It was only natural that I'd be anxious. This would be the first and last big job of my lifetime. I could not allow failure, and I had no experience, for this was my first time. Oh no! I didn't have the know-how, the knack. So it was only natural I'd be anxious. Dark clouds of unease told me doing nothing would be the easiest way, a truly pathetic suggestion this late in the game. Yes, actually, it is quite late in the game. Have you forgotten how miserable Satoko looked? From the outside, it may have looked like I was resolute, but deep inside my heart, my knees were shaking loudly. I never actually won a single fight to my satisfaction. Could I really kill someone? I may have been planning an ambush, but my enemy was large and far older than me. He had a scary face, and when he looked like he was well accustomed to fighting. Could I have? All the pieces before and after the murder were perfectly planned. But was the actual murder the most important part? Was what unsettled me the most? All my preparation, all my perfectly concealed machinations. If I didn't successfully murder him, they amounted to nothing. Damn it. After coming this far, you're pathetic, Keiichi Maribara.
Will do, thank you, Weedy.
Yes. After coming this far, you're pathetic, Keiichi Maribara. If you start having these kinds of second thoughts, your ulterior motive will be obvious. Let's go home. Go home and calm your mind. Tomorrow will be a juncture in your life, the likes of which graduation, employment, marriage, and childbirth couldn't hold a candle to. Day of murder. Kill someone. For someone else's sake. With that just behind us, we could take it back again. Those mid-spring-like days we never thought would stop. Those safe, peaceful, fun times. I pedaled my bicycle hard to get back home. I felt somehow unsteady. Like my body and soul weren't in alignment. Subtle shifts between where the tips of my hands and feet were and where I felt them to be.
My vision was a little distant and narrow, as if a great barrier I had risked my life on had nothing to do with me. An unreal sensation. How could I put it? Everything was so far away. Fine. Feel your unease, permanent Yukiichi Marabara. If that will turn your timidity into meticulousness and allow you to act with greater caution, then it's actually an important emotion to feel. This feeling I had never went away that night. Thank you, thank you. It was the first time I'd be calling Mion's house. I searched for her in the phone book and the school gave me, then dialed a short phone number, the kind unique to remote places. It was around dinner time. She would probably be home. But just as I started to think nobody would respond, somebody finally picked up the receiver. Hello, this is Sonozaki. Oh, I'm sorry for calling so late at night. Is this Mion? Huh? May I ask who's calling? It's me, Keiichi. Oh, okay, Kei-chan. It's pretty late, what's up? She seemed to be in a weirdly good mood, and she drew her syllables out. Right, it's the night before tomorrow's festival, so she's probably with her family having some drinks. Sorry for the late call. Do you have time right now? Sure, what is it? It's about Satoko. I heard her draw a small breath on the other end. Satoko, she's in a pretty bad spot. I hope she's okay. The scent of sake had completely disappeared from her voice. She can't be okay. You saw it too, didn't you? What was she like? Or what she was like? She was completely worn out from all the abuse. We failed her all this time, and now she's become like that. We didn't fail her. Everyone tried their hardest to help her, but we didn't come up with anything and we couldn't save her. In the end, we couldn't do anything about it, and now she'd become like that. I guess you're right. All I did was watch after all. So well, at least. Couldn't we at least let her have fun for one night? Huh? Let her have fun? She's been so battered lately, you'd understand. That's why. I want you to take her to the Watanagashi festival tomorrow. I don't mind. But why? Why? I want to give her a breather for at least the festival night, you know? Even if it's just one night, if she can get away from her evil uncle, then I think she'll be happy. If only for a little while. Yes, but why? Why? Why what? I was having a little difficulty. She's basically asking, why are you asking me to take her? Why not take her yourself? Why, well, I mean, why don't you bring her, Kei-chan? Uh-huh. Why do you need to ask me to do it? Mion was persistent about odd things. No, maybe it'd be better to say she was sharp. I actually have something to do tomorrow. I can't make it to the festival. So I wanted you to take Satoko there for me. Something to do? It's nothing major. I'll probably finish quickly, but I might not be able to meet up with you all tomorrow. Hey, Mion. Could I leave Satoko to you just for tomorrow night? Mion took a long time to give her reply. I got the feeling that Mion had been acting weird for a little while now. Like she was flustered by emotions or something. No. Huh? Was that a sob? Mion? Are you crying? I said no. I don't want to. I don't want you to push this onto someone like me. I'm not trying to push anything onto you. It's just for tomorrow night. That was a lie. Huh? Mion, what was she talking about? Saying it's just for the night of the Watanagashi. And then it was forever. Liar. Hick. I guess we're even, huh? I couldn't keep the promise I made with you. I left her alone all this time. I had no idea what to say to that. Mion was clearly now talking to someone other than me. I didn't know who. All I could do was listen to her in a daze. Never came back after that. And now you call me again? Just to push her onto me? You're so unfair. Hey, you're... Satoshi-kun? Hey, you're... Oh. Dear Satoshi... Mion, what are you talking about? I think someone else answered the phone. When I said her name, whatever spell was on Mion was released. I'm sorry. Nothing. It's just that I got a phone call, a lot like the one you're making now, a long time ago. Was it from Satoshi? Mion didn't answer. All I could hear were the sobs coming through the receiver. Sorry. I think I'm still a little tipsy. I got all weirdly emotional. Sorry, I probably scared you. I had no idea how it happened. But I was pretty sure that last year, on this very day, Satoshi had called Mion and told her to bring Satoko to the festival. And when she asked why he needed her to do it, he replied the same way I just did. Satoshi didn't go to the festival, did he? Yeah. He said he had something to do and couldn't make it. And he told me to take Satoko there in his place. At the time, Satoshi said it too, didn't he? That he'd leave Satoko to you? Yeah. He did. Just for tomorrow night. The way you said it, it's just like how he did. I just got a little upset, caught up in the memory, that's all. I didn't expect this. Satoshi had given her the exact same phone call 1 year ago today. Mion kept going after that. That he was lying. That he told her it would be only for the night of the festival. I get it. A few days later, Satoshi, he disappeared. Disappeared might have been a rather vague way to put it. Whether he ran away or not, Satoshi left, abandoning Satoko. Yes. Didn't transfer or run away from home, he disappeared. And then, an idea far more indistinct than even fog crossed my mind. Satoshi made exactly the same phone call as me last year. Why would Satoshi make the exact same call? If in the truest sense he really made the exact same phone call as I am right now, then the incident where their aunt was beaten to death, could it? Yes. It absolutely could. Was Satoshi... Huh? What was that? Last year. Satoko had been constantly abused by her uncle's wife, their aunt too. Her aunt abused her the most. And on that night, in the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse, she was taken from this world. I thought about it, and everything made perfect sense, didn't it? Last year, Satoko's aunt was beaten to death, wasn't she? Would it be impossible for Satoshi to have... No, but that would mean... Then Satoshi, he was a coward who abandoned Satoko and ran away, wasn't he? How could Satoshi resolve himself to kill the person to save Satoko? It was unthinkable. I actually considered that as well. Though, it'd be mean to Satoshi. 2 days later, he disappeared. On Satoko's birthday. When I first heard it, I flew into a rage. What a cruel day to have run away on. But, now that I thought about it like this, the story changed completely. Satoshi had probably been even less calm than I was now. He was her big brother related by blood, watching his little sister be abused day in and day out. Maybe that's why he couldn't keep calm. And that's why the corpse of their aunt had been beaten to death was so easily discovered. Satoshi lost himself in his anger and hadn't hidden the corpse. Permitted a beginning to occur. The police conducted a full-blown investigation. It was easy to imagine that they wouldn't take long to pin down Satoshi as the culprit. Satoshi, he wished for a return to peaceful days with Satoko, and though he'd achieved it for a time, he'd been steadily driven into a corner. And then, he wanted to at least hold out until Satoko's birthday, but finally, they nailed him. At the time, Satoshi had been carrying the savings he had amassed to buy Satoko a giant stuffed animal for a birthday present. He would buy the stuffed animal as her gift, and then get caught. Or he could use the money and disappear. That was the choice that he'd been forced to make. And he decided not to make Satoko the sister of a murderer.
If that was the case, then it must have been an unspeakably bitter decision. All that money he'd saved wanting to see Satoko happy, he'd have to use it to make her sad. And he used the savings and disappeared to Tokyo if the rumors were true. Is that how Satoshi disappeared? I don't know. That Oishi guy seems to think it that way, though. Oishi? Had he been slowly driven into a corner by that repulsive man's pig-headed pursuit? The circumstantial evidence is all there, but I think your deduction is wrong. They caught some crazy drug addict somewhere in the prefecture, and he apparently turned himself in for the crime. That was right. The deviant had confessed, and the incident was solved. There's one very important thing about the Japanese police force, though, is a lot of the times they will pin things on people. Whether or not they had anything to do with the crime, they just want a culprit. They said that it really was just a crazy person, that he had no ties to Hinamizawa. And no relationship with Satoshi, of course. I mean, I have a pretty hard time believing the guy would lie in Satoshi's place. You couldn't just arbitrarily decide like that. You never know how and when humans are tied together. If that guy took the blame, then it was the perfect crime. Of course, if it really was a perfect crime, then there would be no reason for Satoshi to vanish. Plus, I don't think Satoshi had the kind of money to run away. That day he withdrew all his savings. No matter who I tell this to, nobody believes me, but that stuffed animal he said he was buying for Satoko. It was gone from the display. Sold. It must have been Satoshi. Wait a minute. If he didn't use the money to flee and brought the stuffed animal instead, he would have gone back to Satoko, wouldn't he? It seems unbelievable he'd buy it and then disappear without having given it to her. Yeah. So now I don't know what happened. It would be one thing if he'd had the money, but if he used all his savings on it, he'd be totally broke. You can't live on the run without money in this world. I didn't get it. After all that, I was understanding Satoshi less and less. The two of us fell silent. I couldn't remember how we even got on this topic. Sorry, I think we got off topic. Satoko, right, don't worry. I actually already invited her. Huh? You serious? When everyone went to the shrine to prepare for the festival, we started talking about getting Satoko to the festival itself. So then I used the phone at the assembly hall to invite her. Her uncle was acting distant and didn't seem to care at all. But in any case, we got the okay from him. We decided all to meet up together tomorrow. You okay with that? Satoshi? Stupid, I'm not Satoshi. I was a little relieved. I hadn't needed to make the phone call. Satoko had already been invited to the festival. And not in the way that smelled of blood, or a way to leave her uncle alone to create time for me to kill him. They purely wanted Satoko to enjoy herself, so they invited her. In the end, it was the same, but I was happy in that slight difference. Sorry. I guess I didn't need to call then. First yesterday, now today. Sorry for, saying such weird things. Just forget about it. No, I'm the one who should apologize. Losing it like that isn't like me. I'm really sorry. We apologized to each other for a little bit. I am like 90% sure that's Shion on the phone. Alright, I'll be going now. Good night. What did you have to do? As if interrupting our parting words, Mion stuck straight where it hurt. Or is it like with Satoshi? Or you can't say. Stupid. I keep telling you I'm not Satoshi. Yeah, I know that. I deflected her but with a response like that, it wasn't really an answer. Mion didn't hound me anymore after that. Alright, it's time for real. Good night. I don't know why you're giving me the same phone call as Satoshi did, but... Yeah, never mind. I'm sorry. Good night. I'm hanging up. Click. Satoshi Hojo. Just who are you? I scorned you as a coward who ran away abandoning his sister. I always thought you didn't have the right to call yourself her Nini. But now I don't know what to think.
Yashiro-sama's curse on its 4th year. Their aunt's death, and Satoshi's disappearance. And now me trying to carry out Yashiro-sama's curse on the 5th. Oddly enough, what I was going to do overlapped perfectly with Satoshi the day before the curse. No, that wasn't all. If we start back from Satoko being abused, then I'd be overlapping with Satoshi for days already. When I talked to Mion before, she asked me if I was Satoshi. If that was the first impression a third party like Mion got, then it was probably true. Then, as Satoshi had accomplished, I would succeed in the murder. But that was the extent to which we overlapped. I was far calmer than Satoshi and more calculating. I could actually grow calmer, the more enthusiastic I became. That was why I wouldn't follow in Satoshi's footsteps. I would snip him cleanly out of this world and then get our peaceful life back. Maybe Satoshi has been with me since I chose to use Satoshi's bat as my weapon. No, maybe even longer than that. When I decided to become her Nini, maybe Satoshi had been residing within me too. Satoshi? Were you really a coward? Or are you a true Nini, even now, the kind worthy of Satoko's love? I'd never met him, never spoken to him, didn't even know his face, and yet I felt so connected to him, and that I'd never felt that way before. Alright, let's read the tips and then we'll call it. Can't be much longer now. For the attention on the housewife's okay. New tips, just the one, okay. July 1982. Okonomiya Police Station, 1st Investigation Division. Chief Takasugi. Prefecture Police Headquarters for the eradication of drug-related Shishibona Branch Head. Regarding incident designated as undercover investigation. This message is to inform you that the selection of testimony records of the incident under this police headquarters jurisdiction has been found that the thought to be related to the undercover investigation of the incident in question, Okonomiya Police Station X, Hinamazawa Village Housewife, slaughter incident. During the investigation of suspect Meh, who was arrested for possession of illegal drugs, there was a testimony related to the crime in question as to what part of it we learned that the criminal had information on only he could have known. Therefore, this record of testimony, duplicate attached, will be provided to you. If this testimonial is to be believed, then there is an extremely high chance that the suspect, Meh, was the culprit behind the incident in question. In addition, the head investigator on the case received this report and inquired as to the incident with the Okonomiya Police Station, but the responsible party at the Okonomiya Station, who responded to the designated undercover investigation announced by the Prefectural Police General Director on July 1st, 1982, Osamu Fusakine, B112, misunderstood and did not explain the incident existence to the head investigator to the case properly. Because of this, the case head investigator was not aware of the importance of the testimony as it related to the case in question, and as a result was negligent in combing the scene. We apologize for having left it in the dark until now. In addition, there's a postscript stating that suspect Meh died in confinement yesterday on whatever date. Welp. So, even if he was telling the truth, he's not around anymore. Okay, so we'll save. Save. Yep, end of chapter 9. I've got to be close to the end. I think I've maybe got 3 more chapters left. But we all know the last couple of chapters of an arc are extremely long. I've been through this enough. Alright. Let's find somebody to raid. Yeah, almost just keyword. But I'll be happy if I can get through this arc and at least start the last of the question arcs.
next year, so that way I can at least start going into the answer arcs in other scenarios.
Oh, compliments for Weedy before we go? Of course.
I adore you. You're one of my best friends. I love that you send me silly things, and I'll send you silly things. We just have a really nice vibe going. And I always like your game recommendations. You have a good sense of my taste. And I'm so happy that you're my friend. And I wish the best for you. And I'll say that as many times as you want. Because I am happy you're my friend.
Okay, let's see who I can send you all off to.
Thank you all for coming on this, This is not a fun Higurashi chapter. This is actually a very depressing chapter, but I appreciate that you all want to listen to me read it anyway.
Alright, let's see. Let's see. Rating. Let's do... You know, Katsuya just started and he's doing Armored Core.
So, for something completely different, I think I'll send you all to Katsuya.
Because I see that Snacks is going too, but we rated him last time. So, we'll do our usual spooky story time raid. And I'll send you all off. I hope you all have a good day. Thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate that you guys like that I play these games. Because you never know with visual novels.
Anyway, have fun. Enjoy the giant robots.